Namaste. It's an absolute honor to be speaking in front of all you today. Thank you for taking the time to spend the day with us. Let me start by asking you a question. Why do you do the things you do in life? Whether you're a working professional, business owner, student, musician, actor, or an artist, why do you do what you do? Does your why make you high? High in the sense that you truly love what you do and you're naturally inspired and you look forward to each day because deep down inside, you know you're doing what you're meant to do. My intention today is to share with you what's possible when you're connected to your why. I'd love for all of you to wake up each day highly motivated and know that your why is making you high so you can ultimately become a high performer and a high achiever. I'm no different to anyone here. Being an Indian, I was born with the same ideas and beliefs that most of us are raised with. My parents wanted the best for my brother and I, and they told us what they knew. In order to have a happy and successful life, I needed to have a good education, then get a good job, and have a good career. Although I'm an Indian, I was born and raised in the Fiji Islands. Who here knows where Fiji is or have heard of Fiji? Wow. Fiji is a very small country in the South Pacific, comprised of over 300 islands. Indians were brought to Fiji by the British in the late 1800s from India to work on sugarcane plantations. And that's how we ended up there. And most of them weren't given the opportunity to come back to India. So we are known as Fiji Indians. So I did what I was told, and I got myself a good education. I was fortunate that after finishing high school, my family immigrated to Australia. As a teenager, my family immigrated to Australia, and I finished high school there. Once I finished high school, I enrolled in university and attained an engineering degree. Very Indian thing to do. I totally hated engineering. But at that time, I believed that I needed to have a good education in order to be successful later in life. Once I started working, my career was mainly in manufacturing and eventually in manufacturing management. Most of the managers I worked with were really poor managers. They were good at the technical aspects of their role, but when it came to people, they had really poor managerial skills. And since then, I've come to recognize that this is a major issue within businesses and organizations: poor leaders and poor managers. While on the surface, I was successful and had the material successes to show for it, inside, I was dying a slow death. I remember I used to come home after long and stressful weeks and just crash on my bed, looking up at the ceiling, wondering if this was what my life was going to be. I used to be so mentally exhausted and stressed from the work I was doing that I have tears run down the side of my face thinking that this was life. I knew there had to be more to life. Can anyone relate to this? So I wanted to find out, what was my why in life? What was I meant to do? I soon discovered that there were many people who didn't have a good education but were winning in a big way. So the beliefs I had about good education, good career, and happiness was being challenged. Why were there so many unhappy people at work? I soon realized that there were many important things about life I didn't learn, about life at university I didn't learn. Things like how to make decisions, how to control my emotions, how to think, and how to earn money. So I started attending training courses, reading books, going to seminars and workshops to find out what was my why in life, what was I meant to do. After a few years of study, I connected to my why. I left my management career and am dedicating my life to what I'm doing now. My why is to inspire and empower people to follow what they love and help them design the life the way they want to. I love speaking and training professionals to create high-performing teams in their businesses and organizations, and helping those in leadership and management roles go to high levels of performance through my books and training programs. I love what I do. If I can connect to my why, you certainly can too. I'd like to share with you 3 ways through which you can find your why. Martin Luther King once said, "If you haven't found something you're willing to die for, you aren't fit to live." The first way to find your why is to ask yourself the question, what do I truly love? What makes you feel alive? What do you really want or have always wanted to do in life? When I was growing up, I used to be compared a lot to my older brother, who used to get better grades and marks at school than me. Who here was ever compared to an older, younger sibling when you were growing up? I was no different. I remember one year, my father gave me an incentive. He said, if I achieved first place in class, I would get a trip to Australia. Now keep in mind that I lived in Fiji, which is a very poor country, and it was always a dream to visit Australia. That was something I really wanted to experience. Up until that time, I never achieved first place in class. And I remember that was the first time I actually got serious about my studies. I put in long extra hours of study for my final exams. All right, I admit it, I was a total nerd for the rest of that term. So, at school, during recess and lunch, kids wanted me to play soccer, but I didn't want to play. Instead, I would read my books or get started early on any homework I had. When the other kids asked me, why aren't you playing with us? I said, I'm getting ready to go to Australia. I remember I cut out pictures of Australia and placed them in a scrapbook, and I looked at it every day. It was like I had this innate awareness that in order to get what I want, I had to act as if I'd already achieved it. So when the kids asked me why wasn't I playing with them, I was prepared to give up something that would give me short-term pleasure. It was about making a sacrifice. Sacrifice is giving up something of a lower nature in order to receive something of a higher nature. But in my mind, I could clearly see myself visiting Australia. In the movie Om Shanti Om, there is a wonderful line that really supports this story. The line Shah Rukh Khan says is, "अगर किसी चीज़ को दिल से चाहो, तो सारी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने में लग जाती है." In other words, when you truly desire something with all your heart, the entire universe works in your favor to help you achieve it. Plus, I also did what was necessary to achieve what I wanted. I studied hard. At the end of the year, I was number 1. I think I surprised my father more than I surprised myself. At that time, I thought the real reward was getting the trip to Australia. There I was, at 9 years of age, learning one of the most powerful lessons about creating what I love, but I wasn't aware I was learning the lesson. The real reward wasn't the trip to Australia. The real reward was the idea that got me the trip to Australia. That idea would have given me anything I wanted, but I wasn't aware I was learning the lesson. There's truly no end to what you and I are capable of doing. I'd like you to do one thing. Turn to the person next to you and say, you have the power to do anything you want. Say that one more time with a bit more energy. You have the power to do anything you want. I got my trip to Australia 4 years later, and 2 years after that, I had permanently moved to Australia. Now, interestingly, I never achieved first place ever again in any of my studies. I've come to learn that the reward has to be big enough. It's got to be what you truly love. I would imagine everyone here has a similar story where you've attracted or created something you really wanted that seemed like a miracle. That is the power of knowing your why, knowing what you truly love or really want to do. So what do you truly love? Is it traveling? Is it creating something new? Is it making a difference? Take some time and create a list of things you love and devote as much time as you can doing those things. And I promise you, soon enough, you will be on your way to being a high performer and a high achiever. The second way to find your why is something that's not mentioned a lot. And that is to ask yourself the question, what do I hate? What do you want to fight or stand up against? What really ticks you off? Ever since completing my university studies and finding out that the things I learned at university was not necessarily the model for life happiness and fulfillment, I've developed a hatred for all the irrelevant and unimportant information that's being taught at universities and in schools. I want to see young adults empowered with life skills that will help them deal with the real world. As a result, it inspired me to write my first book as a story conveying principles of success that will help people create the life they want and not settle for the life they do not enjoy. Now, while academic studies are very important and I place a high value on it, it is not the only path that will ensure a happy, fulfilled life. Because of what I learned at university and what I hated about what I was taught, it inspired me to share my message through my book. So what do you hate? Is it animal cruelty, child abuse, discrimination, corruption, racism? What do you hate that will cause you to do something about it? What you hate gives you perspective on what you want so you can focus on the solution. What you hate can be a powerful trigger that connects you to your why and what's important to you. The third way to find your why is to ask yourself the question, what touches my heart? What is it that ignites a passion within you? A couple of years ago, I saw a story on TV about a man who's doing great work here in India. Narayanan Krishnan was a young, bright, award-winning chef with a 5-star hotel group shortlisted for an elite job in Switzerland. But a quick family visit home before heading off to Europe changed everything. He saw an old, homeless man eating garbage and human waste for food. That image hurt and shocked him so much that he decided to do something about it. He started feeding that man and taking care of him. Within a week, Narayan quit his job and returned to India for good and founded his Akshaya Trust Foundation. He has now decided to dedicate the rest of his life taking care of the elderly and homeless people abandoned by their families. Since 2002, Narayan has served more than 1.9 million meals to India's homeless and elderly people. So what Narayan saw touched his heart and totally changed the course of his life. So what is it that touches your heart? Do you want to help raise money for research into illnesses such as cancer? Or would you like to support certain non-profit organizations? Take some time and really think about what you'd like to serve and do because it touches you on a deep emotional level. Just imagine, if everyone did a little good in the community, what difference would that make? If we're all following our why, we'll create a much better community, city, country, and ultimately a better world. You may be sitting there thinking, oh, that's easy for you, but I can't do that. It won't work for me. I totally understand, because I've been there too, and that's how I used to think. I was born in a country of less than 1 million people, where there was poverty all around me. I had to work on changing how I look at things. I've overcome many challenges in life, from racism, a total career change, to financial struggles. But I'm right here speaking in front of all you wonderful people. It's never too late to connect to your why. When I get hired to speak at businesses and organizations, one of the secrets I'll reveal to them, the one secret, that if you know this secret, you will be a high performer and create powerful results. Let me share with you what that secret is. You may want to write this down if you can. Your reality is directly proportional to your level of thinking. The better your thoughts, the better your results. If you want to change your reality, you must change your thinking. So who here is ready to step up and live the life you're meant to live? Say yes. Yes. One more time. Who's here to live the life you want to live and live the life that you're meant to live? Say yes. Yes. When you walk out these doors after the event today, think about why are you doing what you do? Does your why make you high? If it doesn't, take some time and go through the 3 questions I've shared with you today. What do I love? What do I hate? And what touches my heart? Listen to that quiet voice within you that's guiding you to your greatness. Make that choice no matter what. If I can support you on your journey in any way, I'd be honored to do so. Thank you for your time today. Namaste.